Syracuse Orange fans, can you feel the heat?
What's going on, Cuse Nation? Welcome to Orange Heat. My name's Giovanni Heater, as always, and thank you for joining me. Syracuse went into Week 2 of the 2019 college football season controlling their own destiny. What looked to be a 2-week stretch for the ages that would be embedded into every Syracuse fan's memories for the rest of their lives. Syracuse was going to take down Maryland in College Park and then have a date, an opportunity to take on the number 1 ranked defending national champion Clemson Tigers at the Carrier Dome, 7:30 ABC college football primetime. The beloved college football program television ESPN show College Game Day had hotel rooms booked in Syracuse, ready to make the trip into Orange Land for the first time since opening up the show in 1993. A dream for Syracuse fans all of this time. And then Syracuse fell in College Park 63-20 at the hands of the Maryland Terrapins. I made the trip down to College Park. A lot of Syracuse fans did as well. It was a crowd full of Orange, but the Orange just couldn't pull through, disappointing us Week 2 of the season after all of this hype that came into this 2019 campaign. We spent the whole entire offseason talking about how great this offense was going to be, how it was going to take maybe a little bit of a time, but how much potential they had and how good Tommy DeVito was. We talked about how good of a defense we had, top 10 in the country, top 5 we said, one of the best that Syracuse has ever had. And then they give up 63 points. 63 points. As I said, the Orange fall 63-20 in College Park. A gut punch at the soul of every Syracuse football fan so early in the season. There's potential to grow the rest of the year, but it pulls away all of the hype and all of the excitement going into this weekend against Clemson. Clemson, a game that Syracuse hasn't been this excited for in so long. You were going to have a sold-out Carrier Dome. You were going to have College Game Day. You were going to have everything that college football is and is meant to be, but it's no longer going to happen. Yeah, the Dome is probably still going to be sold out. Yeah, Syracuse is going to play Clemson. Yes, we have an opportunity to control and be in the driver's seat for the ACC Atlantic. But the reality of it is, we don't have a very good football team, and our record is 1-1, and we were blown out. Okay, blown out. And last season, we suffered a tough loss to Notre Dame, but it wasn't bad like that. Last year was a year where a 10-win football team looked really good every week, was competitive in every single game, and this just doesn't look like the same team anymore. The spirit doesn't seem to be there. There's my little rant. Let's get into some stats for this ball game. Maryland had 29 first downs in this game. Syracuse had 18. Okay. A lot of the time when you win certain things like the first down battle, the turnover battle, stuff like that, that's when you're going to win football games. Maryland went 11 for 15 on third down. Syracuse, if you remember a year ago, was one of the best third down defenses in the entire country. Maryland goes 11 for 15 against this very talented Syracuse defense, which concerns me. Because this defense, it's not a situation where you're out-talented or outmatched. It seems to be that you're out-coached and you're outplayed because you have very, very good talent on this Syracuse football defense. In reality, some NFL players. Alton Robinson's going to play downs in the National Football League. Kendall Coleman will as well. Andre Sisco, Probably. Trill Williams, certainly at that caliber. But they just didn't play that way on Saturday. They just didn't. And looking at some more stats here, 650 total yards for the Terps. 296 passing yards, 354 rushing. Maryland did the damage that Liberty couldn't the week before. We went from -4 rushing yards to 354 given up rushing yards on the defensive side of the football. It was an ugly, ugly game right from the get-go on Saturday if you're a Syracuse fan. Went 3 and out on the first drive. Maryland takes over. They have a big strike down the field. They punch it in the end zone, 7-0. Syracuse gets the ball back. Tommy DeVito fumbles it. Maryland gets it back, punch it in the end zone once again. Just like that, about 3-4 minutes into the ball game, you're down 14-0. And it just continued to get worse from there. Things never got going. It never looked like we were going to win that football game. And it's crushing because of so much noise and hype going into this season. Maryland averaged 8 yards every single rush. Now, I will say they had some very talented players on this team. Josh Jackson, a fantastic quarterback. I knew that he was going to be deadly going into this ball game. I saw how good he was at Virginia Tech. He played in an ACC championship, so he has big stage experience. And then looking at the rushing game, Anthony McFarland had a fantastic game on his legs, as well as Javon Leake. I mean, this is a Maryland team that really looks like Syracuse from last year. This is a team that could go on to win 10 games this season, be contenders in the Big Ten, and be that sleeper that Syracuse was last year. I really could see that happening for this Terps team. But in that situation, okay, this is a good team. Well, Syracuse was supposed to be a good team as well. And this was supposed to be a head-to-head matchup, one that we'd look back on later on this season. Even if you lost close. But if you won, it would have looked real good against a good Maryland team. Instead, you lose 63-20. I feel like, I don't know how to express the amount of disappointment for all the work that's gone into, all the media going into this season, just everybody talking up the hype. It's just gone. We're not going to be talked about on ESPN anymore. That's over. And I feel like Stephen A. Smith, to be quite honest with you, on the rant here. They have a plethora of great receivers. Maryland's a fantastic football team. You got to give credit where credit's due. Mike Loxley outcoached Dino Babers flat out right from the get-go. Offensive line struggles for the Orange were killer. Absolutely killer. Sam Hackel did not make the trip, which is understandable. He suffered an upper body injury against the Liberty Flames. So he didn't make the trip. There's shoes to fill there, and you need the talent to step in. You need guys like Cervase to fill that void. You need Carlos Vettorello to play well, but Carlos didn't play well in this ball game at all. The offensive line didn't look cohesive as a unit. They struggled all across the board, and they weren't playing together. Tommy DeVito's stats are actually very good. If you look at this ball game and you don't look at the scoreboard, you'd think, wow, Syracuse had a good game passing the ball, and Tommy DeVito's a pretty good quarterback. 28 for 39, 330 yards, 3 touchdown passes, and 1 interception. Okay? But that just wasn't the case. I got to be honest with you. Tommy looked a little bit scared out there. Okay? He looked inexperienced, making mistakes that if you're groomed for 2 whole seasons, getting exposure last season on the playing field, mistakes that you shouldn't be seen made. Okay? Mistakes where you're trying to throw the football away, you should throw the football away anyways, and you throw a pick down the sideline. Things like that shouldn't happen. Okay, Tommy looked uncomfortable out there, to say the least. And don't get me wrong, he's an extremely talented quarterback, but he doesn't look like the same guy we saw last season. We saw a few glimpses in this ballgame. He had some nice long bombs, got Tristan Jackson going, who I will say Tristan had a really good game catching the football. Some of our only offensive success lied on his shoulders in this ball game. He went 7 receptions for 157 yards and 2 touchdowns. So Tristan played really good, catching some footballs that really he shouldn't even have caught. Tough catches to make. He went up and he made those grabs, and he was a little bit of spark of life for this Syracuse offense. Really, the one takeaway to look at as positivity going forward. The scary thing about this, guys, is there was really no positive takeaways from this ball game. Liberty, you didn't have the best game offensively, but there were things that you could look at, and you could take away some positive things to set yourself on going into the next week. Nothing went right for Syracuse this week. Nothing. The run game could not get going. Abdul Adams, 7 for 37 yards. Okay? Mo Neal, 12 carries for 47 yards. Jarvian Howard, 3 carries for 5 yards. It's just not good. It's not good. We got Clemson next week. The number 1 ranked team in the country. The most talented team in the country. More talented than this Maryland team. The defense was supposed to be the best part of this team. This was supposed to carry the team. And they give up 63 points. Receivers had 5 yards of distance between them when they made receptions. And the pass rush couldn't really get anywhere. 1 sack on the day. 1 sack. You put Jackson on his butt a few times. But for the most part, there was very little pressure. They couldn't get through the Maryland offensive line. And in the secondary, Cisco had a pick. But other than that, guys are wide open. And they just kept finding these seams. And credit to Maryland for absolutely killing us with the run-pass option. Josh Jackson, a quarterback who, much like Eric Dungy last year, couldn't find the seams in that run-pass option very well. Exploiting this talented Syracuse defense with the run-pass option very, very well. Looking at the passing game. Taj Harris, 5 catches for 85 yards. Mo Neal caught passes for 6 receptions and 40 yards. Sean Riley, 5 receptions for 38 yards. Nykeem Johnson, where was he? 4 receptions for only 2 yards. Okay. A few things to talk about here in the passing game. First of all, these guys got to work harder to get open out there. It's not all on Tommy. I can say that it's not all on Tommy. There were a few times that he was left on a complete island with nobody to throw to because nobody's getting open. And I don't know if it's a matter of the receivers got to work harder or the offensive coordinators need to come up with some better schemes, but there were times where Tommy was left all alone with nobody to throw the ball to. And other times, we have to limit the times that you're going to look to your bailout back. Okay? Mo Neal typically, if it's not a screen, is your bailout receiver. Or your tight end is your bailout receiver. Or you might have a wide receiver set there like Sean Riley or Nykeem. That's your bailout receiver. Yet, on almost every pass play, Tommy's throwing to them. That's a problem. That means he's checking 1, 2, 3, 4, and the last guy left is the bailout receiver? Come on, guys. That's not what a top 25 team looks like. Okay? That's just not what we thought we had coming into this season. I think it's time that we really sit back, we look at what happened on Saturday, and we look at the rest of the season, and we take a little bit of a reality check. I think as fans, and obviously the team, Dino said they're humbled pie, the fans need to be humbled. And I think we need to sit back and look at the reality of what we have left, who we have left on the schedule, what's ahead, and what kind of football team we're dealing with. I think that didn't look like a 10-win football team to me. That looked like less than a bowl-eligible football team in that game on Saturday. Now, they're going to improve. Dino is a fantastic coach, and going forward, you're going to see some changes. I think that they need to get the run game going more because, unfortunately, when you give up 2 quick touchdowns, it's a situation where you're playing catch-up. So you need to throw the ball through the air because you basically don't want to run out of time. So you don't really have the opportunity to run the football, and that killed us as well. That killed our running back attack for sure. So you're going to see, obviously, more run game implemented next week if we can keep ourselves in the ball game. I think you're going to see a situation where, hey, the offensive line isn't where it needs to be for this pocket passing quarterback. So there might be some design quarterback runs. But Tommy's not a pocket pass or a scrambling quarterback by any means. So he's going to have to find the seams, exploit it the best way he can, and go from there. This was humbling. You got to look at the rest of the schedule. You got to see what's left. And I think it's a reality situation where you could lose very well to a Florida. You could lose any game this season, really, because I don't think we're here anymore. We're about here. It looked like a 4-8 Syracuse football team. I think every game now there's no guarantees anymore. Holy Cross and Western Michigan are the only games I'd say are guarantees. Everything else is going to be a fight. This team needs to improve. They need to improve on the offensive line. These linebackers that we thought were really good in the Liberty game struggled in this game. Lakeem Williams was okay. Armstrong had some nice tackles. But they were exploited because your safety, Andre Sisco, led the team in tackles, which means the secondary had to come down and make tackles. And speaking of tackles, how about all the missed tackles? All across the board was the biggest struggle for the defense, was missing tackles. That led to big plays for Maryland. That led to momentum. Not good, guys. Not good. They beat us with their legs on the ground. They beat us through the air. They beat us in spirit. They wanted that game. Credit to them, but this team is not what we thought they were. With that being said, guys, Syracuse-Clemson preview coming up. And a huge opportunity going into this weekend. You could get yourself right back on the map if you beat Clemson. You can control your seeding in the Atlantic. The season is not over. There's still things to fight for here. Yeah, the hype's gone for Clemson. Some of it, okay? But it's still homecoming. People still bought their tickets. People are going to show up. It's going to be a big-time ball game in Syracuse, New York. Okay? You just got to, as fans, we got to corral around this team. We got to root for them. We got to watch them. We got to hope for the best. Belief without evidence at this point. We got to believe that Tommy and Dino Babers and this defense and Brian Ward and Sean Ettinger, that things are going to get figured out. We just got to believe that's what we can do as fans. I know this podcast has been a bit of a rant. I apologize for that. You drive 6.5 hours to go watch a ball game, and then we get destroyed. But thank you to my parents and grandparents for taking me down to that ball game, for sure. We just got to surround this team with some love and support, have trust in them. Season's not over. It was a tough loss. You regroup, you toilet flush it, as Dino says, and you move on. I'll call it right now, guys. This team has potential. There's talent here. Okay? I'm telling you right now, we're not going to roll over and play dead against Clemson. But we control our own destiny. I think it's a situation where maybe we were looking forward. I don't think Dino would do that. But maybe we were looking forward to Clemson. Maybe the players were sleeping on Maryland a bit. Maybe the defense was too overconfident in the fact that they held the shutout the week before. Okay? You never know. The beauty of college football is anybody can win on any given day, and we have a talented football team with room to grow. Thank you guys for watching. I appreciate you listening to the post-game rant. If you guys want to hop in the comments, let's throw in a good time to do a live stream, and we'll really talk about your thoughts on the game. I'm curious to hear what you guys had to say. I really am. And let's go Orange, baby. Let's go Orange. Woo! Let's throw some reverb. Let's go Orange, baby.
Thank you for listening to Orange Heat, done by pursuing sports broadcaster and high school student Giovanni Heater. You can find him on Twitter and Instagram at GeoHeater. Please like, comment, and subscribe for more Syracuse athletics and Orange Heat action. Let's go Orange!